impact.
So once again, Abigail Watson here, known for medical meteor track and all that follow from that. As you said, over 10 years with Meteor, same with me and a few others here as well. So without further ado, Abigail, what's new in this medical meteor track? What's going on?
Oh, gosh, so much. So thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey. I first started with Meteor about 10 years ago, about the time I was getting into graduate school for biomedical informatics. And so today I was kind of putting together some slides, kind of figuring out what I wanted to talk about. To understand what Node on Fire is about and what I post on the Meteor forums and kind of like, oh, new release and this and that. And um, to understand it all, we probably need to talk about what an electronic health record is. And then we'll do a real quick covering of what the fast healthcare interoperability resources is. And you'll hear me talk about FHIR throughout this presentation. So we'll talk about what the FHIR is and know the FHIR. I'm going to do a real quick walkthrough of how to install the server and how the skeleton or the boilerplate works, and we might load in some synthetic data. We might do some data generation for like a sample medical record, and then time permitting, do a little bit of demo of some of the work that I've been doing with the MCP and A2A protocol with large language models. So yeah, when I started my master's in biomedical informatics, it was just beginning to be when the 21st Century Cures Act had been released. And the 21st Century Cures Act said patients have a right to access their medical records. And it used to be that HIPAA, the Health Information Portability Protection Act, said that nurses and doctors like had to be really like couldn't give out any of the data. But then 21st Century Cures got passed, and then all of a sudden the patients were like, "Give me my damn data." And at the same time, we were seeing like consumer devices, like these blood pressure cuffs, and I guess the iWatch, and things like the stethoscope. These kind of consumer medical devices were starting to also appear on the market, and I was really interested in sort of figuring out how to connect to that to those sources of data, fetch your own data, and my personal motivations about 15 years ago, I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I was at the time, I had a limp, I had like wound up in the ER and was having a bunch of difficulties. And I was like, oh, well, I need to get my medical records and put them all together and figure out and lifestyle changes and all the rest. Um, so when I had actually worked as an I worked as an EHR admin at the hospital before then. I before my master's, I had a pre-med, and so I was working with Cerner Corporation, and the Cerner Millennium product. And a lot of people have heard of Epic. And so those are like the two big vendors, Cerner and Epic. And over the years, I came to sort of a thesis about what electronic health records are. And they're very large systems. They're enterprise systems. They have just the Cerner EHR had, I don't know, 500 active tables in our installation, and probably like 2 or 3 or 4,000 stale tables from like prior versions, and it was just like sprawling. And what kind of happens, here's my little diagram, is my thesis on electronic health records is that they're organized around languages, and they tend to they tend to form through aggregation, and they kind of uh, the consolidation. And so somebody writes a laboratory module in .NET, and then someone writes a pharmacy module in .NET, and then someone patient tracking or an ICU module in .NET, and someone buys them all up and kind of puts them all together in a platform. And the same thing's happening with Ruby on Rails, or with Node and JavaScript, or and in the future there will be electronic health records written in Swift or Rust or whatever. So they tend to be like these conglomerates. So they you a bunch of independent implementations, and then they all get kind of grouped together or consolidated together. And so that's my thesis about how EHRs are formed. And so what's kind of been happening is with the interoperability protocol. So 21st Century Cures said that not only do patients have a right to access their own data, but they have a right to do it with like a standard API. And that application programming interface is fire. What's happening is that they specified that the mechanism to fetch data for patients needed to be like web standards. And so that kind of means XML or JSON. And suddenly there was this industry effect where all the hospitals were mandated to exchange data basically with XML or JSON. And that gave the opportunity for there to be sort of something in between the systems. And I've been, for the past few years, interested in this notion of like an interoperability layer between the hospitals. Sort of what does that what does an application router look like? What does like a Fire relay server look like? What does Fire? How would you make a database or a data lake or a clinical repository on this technology? And as we made a prototype, went to the next project, did another prototype, did another pilot, a prototype, and we've done 100 of these at this time. We kept reusing some of the software and reusing what we could, and my thesis is that what's happening in the healthcare ecosystem is that there's sort of a data interoperability layer that's emerging, and with it, it's sort of like a JavaScript EHR, and but the JavaScript EHR kind of exists between the cracks. It's operating between the just it's kind of like network routers, you know. You have your servers, you have your web clients, but then between all of that, there's actually a bunch of routers that are just kind of passing data along. And if anybody's ever been like a Cisco engineer, your CCNA or CCIE, you know that there's like a whole like world of network routers and relays and things that are passing the data along between the server and the client that are just kind of abstracted away. They're kind of invisible to the process, but they are very dependent. You really kind of need them for everything to work. So I was really interested in this problem of like, what does that kind of interoperability layer work like? And there was like a whole 3 or 4 years, or blockchain. Actually, I was going to not say the B word, but during those years that we had the hype cycle around blockchain, uh, what was really interesting, what I found interesting about working with Ethereum and Hyperledger and BigChain and all the rest was the notion of this like distributed app. And what we're really kind of creating with Node on Fire, when we kept reusing it from project to project, was this sort of distributed app where it was sort of like a WordPress model where you had the template or the skeleton and you could install different packages, and then the core of it was responsible for data schemas and authentication and authorization and security. And that part could be, you could put it through quality control. You could, kind of do testing on it, make sure that it's working well, and then people could add proprietary workflow through custom packages and like module add-ons. So we're going to be talking about how to install sort of this one of these. And we're going to install a DApp today, a distributed app, and you can install multiple of these and create, little workflow chains, and use it as a fire relay or a patient portal or an application server. It kind of does all of that. So let's talk about real quick. We're going to talk about HO7 Fire. So, fast healthcare interoperability resources is HO7 is a ANSI accredited standards development organization, and so they are responsible for or they participate in ANSI standardization. So just as we have railroad gauges are all the same width, and electrical currents are all the same voltage, though that wasn't always the case. It used to be the case that the different railroad operators would have different gauge tracks. And if you try to take a train on one gauge and roll it to the other, it would derail. And there was a time when electrical appliances weren't all like on the same voltage, and you could burn down your house if you in like try to install Westinghouse equipment in like an Edison town or something, so standardization is about bringing the different groups together and kind of negotiating in the free market, in public, almost kind of democratic norms, like how the different organizations are going to try to um, resolve those inter-industry problems. So HO7 does that for hospitals and healthcare. Their focus is um, hospital interoperability, and they're kind of like a school board, except they're like a governance. They're a quasi governance board for hospitals, kind of. They operate in a lot of the same ways as like your local school board or municipal town, fixing potholes and, voting on, should we add this service or that service and so forth. And they do it through data APIs. And they're like, well, which data API should the hospitals support? We can fetch patient records. Should we also allow pharmacy records? Should we allow radiology records? And if so, how? And so, what they've been doing for the past decade is they've been developing out API schemas for all this clinical workflow. And so, you can go in here, and there's like these are all data schemas. And I'm going to open up the patient schema and try to make sure y'all can see it. And they're just being real particular about, okay, well, if you have a JSON packet going over the wire on your REST API interface, can, like, okay, here's a patient record. How are we doing, like, the name? Well, do you is your human name going to be are we going to have a first name and last name field? Well, that doesn't always work in some countries. Some countries, they invert it, and your surname is first, then your given name is last. So they say, no, we're not going to use a field called first name and last name. We're going to use family and given, and we're going to attach it to patient dot name. And so that creates, like, patient dot name dot given is what the hospitals will exchange, versus a startup, which might be like first name last name, and first name last name is actually not a best practice. So if you ever fetch data from a hospital, you won't get first name last name. You'll get patient.name.given and patient.name.family and patient.name.text, and that's like the data schema that they're going to provide. And there's and that's just like one example, and there are countless more minutia details that they've spent a decade, or probably, I mean, it wasn't done in a vacuum. Like, there were decades prior where they had versions before RESTful APIs, and they were drawing on that. So it's really just been a multi-decade effort that they've been working on this. We've been working on this. So when Meteor was released, um, I kind of fell in love. I was like, this is the best thing ever. Back in the day, there was an electronic health record called MUMPS, which was like the first medical record. And MUMPS was built completely on it was a single language document oriented database, and it was before SQL was even invented. This was back in the 60s and 70s. And its architecture was, we're going to have a document oriented database, and we're going to have a single language on the server client. They didn't really make a distinction back then. It was all mainframes and thin terminals, and so they didn't even have a distinction between server and client, and it was just one language, and it was a document-oriented database. And so Meteor came along and was like, we're going to use Mongo, and we're going to have JavaScript on the server, we're going to have JavaScript on the client, and we're going to have JavaScript in the database, and it's going to be one language, and it's going to be document oriented. And I was just like, wow, this is like the 21st century cures of, or this is like 21st century version of this older mumps database that was kicking around in hospital laboratories and radiology departments and so forth. So when Meteor was released, and then the HO7 folks were publishing these schemas, I was just like, peanut butter, meat jelly. Like, these things go hand in hand, and we need to bake all of these JSON schemas into Meteor so that you can have. So what happens is, I'm going to skip ahead to my Mongo compass here, and here's like a full database with like hundreds of sample patients loaded in. And we can go into the patients collection here, and so every one of these patient records, you can open it up, and let's see here. Can I? Maybe I can't get the uh, raw data, but the schema is documented here, and so as a developer, I don't have to define that schema, and I know that uh, it's documented. I know what every field, like I get documentation of every single field there and how to use it and search and types and all of it. And so I know what my database schema is going to look like. And I also know what the schema is going to look like on the browser. So this as a clinician, this lets me focus on clinical workflow instead of wrangling the technology. Like this is the key that lets me focus on clients' business problems instead of um, uh, other bullshit. Pardon my language. Just all the other stuff that goes on. So that's the slideshow, and we've now talked about what all of this is. Now we're going to go over and do like some installation of it. Meteor on well, Node on Fire has evolved over the years. It is now available at GitHub Node on Fire. This used to be Clinical Meet. Well, it used to be Meteor on Fire. Then it became Node on Fire, and now it's Node on Fire and this Honeycomb project. So Honeycomb is like version 3. It's just like a code name. A lot of people seem to resonate with Node on Fire, so we sort of renamed the Clinical Meteor org to Node on Fire because there was some clarity there. Honeycomb is version 3. I think version 4 is probably going to be code name uh, Mandala, and version 5 is probably going to be like Quantum, but that's like the roadmap and so forth. Um, but this is I call this the scrapyard. It's I'm a little bit like a magpie. I see something shiny and I'm like, oh, fork it and like bring it in. Oh, this could be useful. Oh, hey, look, a radiology view or fork it. Oh, hey, look, some laboratory processing stuff. Fork it, and I just dump it all in here. And then what we do is we try to harmonize it with the fire schemas. It's like, oh, we got a laboratory thing, but it's not in fire yet. So we're going to make a custom fork. We're going to add the fire components in, roll it in to the platform, and so forth. So we're gonna kick off with no, not that one. We're going to kick off. Um, okay, so we have an empty directory and no, is it not that one either? There it is. Meteor create. Okay, so we're going to do Meteor create from our skeleton template right here, and it's really kind of that simple. We're going to name it uh, I don't know, demo day. We're going to create a React, and one of the I'm thrilled that the it has Meteor Create supports the dot dash dash from um, command. I in the future, I think dash dash node on fire would be great. Included as a top level skeleton to support. I would certainly welcome that. But in the meantime, we're going to go to demo day, and here it is. I have some cleanup I need to do. There's a bunch. I've been doing a lot of work this summer, and Claude has been adding some files I need to clean up. Um, but yeah, so we've downloaded it, and we're going to Meteor npm install, and we'll go through this. Okay, no whammies, no whammies. Meteor run, and let's see if we get it open. We'll see if. Uh, mhm. The B word. I'm checking uh, the chat as we go through. Jan, yes, fire is not only meant to be an international standard, it very much is. It is international in scope, and we very much do make, when we publish specs, we define them as either US realm or international realm. And there is an active European participants. Netherlands and Germany are very big participants. Spain also. Um, for the schema, do we use JSON schema? Excellent question. We are JSON schema, I'll loop back around to that, but it's a multi-year refactor that we are moving to. HO7 began publishing JSON schemas within the past maybe 4 years, but we had already implemented uh, simple schema throughout the stack. And so Node on Fire has it kind of sprawls. It's there's a many pieces to it. It's bordering almost 500,000 lines of code at this point. And we have to, there's a lot of functionality that comes with it, but then our refactors tend to be like, oh man, we have to go through 40 schemas, and we have to replace here and here. So JSON schema is a strategic changeover that we're working on, and we've been looking at Zod and AJV, another JavaScript validator, to support that. But it is long term a strategic. Like we're working to remove simple schema and replace it with JSON schema. That's very much on the roadmap, and I spend a lot of time and cycles thinking about how we're going to do that. So we're prepping that. It is very much something that we are moving towards. But let's go back to our installation, and demo day is good. The demo gods are smiling upon me, and everything's running at this point. So Honeycomb out of the box is very kind of it's got this setup checklist. That's just what you're going to see. The first thing you got, you've got a bunch of manuals, and don't ever tell me that you didn't have uh, documentation. There is more documentation that ships with this than most people ever. I mean, deep into the swimming pool. This is thousands of pages of documentation there. But then, you get into the app configuration, and you're kind of like, my new app, and we can write it to the settings, and we're starting to set this up, and you can kind of like pick which version of Fire, some things like logging levels and subscription limits, and like what units that you want to use. You can get in here and pick, let's see here, okay, so we're getting some theming, add your colors and your branding. Let you do a little bit of branding there. Um, then over here it ships without, kind of a sidebar. And so, you can go in here and add, okay, this application wants patient chart and biomarker charting, and we want the a user profile, and we want the data importer and maybe the auto links. And this is all just kind of building up your sidebar. Um, and then all of this is down here, kind of helping create the Meteor settings file that is uh, the audience here is Meteor developers, so I assume that you all know this, but you can copy this, or you can download the settings file, name it, and so forth. Um, let's see here. Um, After you do the sidebar, um, now then, so we have all these modules, and this is a decade's worth of work. We have some business models like patient portal is very common, personal health record, application router, and for each of these, like the patient portal needs a patient chart. Um, Personal health record the same, and it's going to turn on all these resources that, and we have user interface for all these resources. Same thing with like the nursing home, but you might with nursing home is different than a personal health record because the nursing home is going to be HIPAA compliant. And with HIPAA compliant, you're going to need the audit events resource for your audit log. And so, there's just like all this kind of mix and match with what's your use case, what's your workflow, like which modules you want. And we've gone through the effort of, let me open up the uh, magic codes, meteor impact, demo day. So open up the code editor. Like Node and Fire, when you initially download it in the packages directory, it's becoming one of these mono repos like Meteor. But it's got all these healthcare related things. Checklist manifesto is like a checklist, and consent generators for creating advanced care directives and like consent documents, and international patient summary, and Passio. You'll see that that's post acute care, and so that's like nursing home or ICU step down, and so we're just kind of looking at expanding out all these. And I guess this is the first time I get to announce that uh, Known on Fire has been invited to submit for health IT certification to be like a government recognized electronic health record. We have some work left to do, but mostly we're nearing on enough. We're nearing on code coverage of all the uh, government regulatory stuff that's required for a certification, and so eh, will it happen by end of year? I don't know, but it's something that we're looking at, and my hope is that eventually we'll get to a point where all of this is basically opened and publicly available, and then premium modules, above and beyond what's needed for certification, will kind of do a business model around premium services and so forth. But yeah, so this is a growing list of workflow modules that can be kind of added. And then as you're selecting your business model and which portions that you want in, it's also telling you like here's Meteor commands that you should run to add this package and this package. And it's also giving you like the show command of, okay, run it with these commands. And and then, you can add, your privacy policy and your terms of condition. And again, it's just kind of adding, oh, look at that. There's all of our pages. Is this turned on? Oh, I haven't run it. The Meteor settings was applied, but we haven't added the packages yet. So we don't actually have them. But there's our privacy and so, yeah, we have to actually restart the server with the settings file. Okay, I've lost my. Okay, so back to getting started. Um, we're maybe not going to get to smart on fire, but this is like the functionality for actually attaching and like connecting to a hospital. And then this helps you create a new workflow package and kind of steps you through uh, the atmosphere packages. And so you have all of that. Uh, Bouncing over to the server. Here's where we actually run the Fire server, which we actually kind of had to pull out a bunch of the DDP. The data distribution protocol and the WebSockets is still there for user interface, but we implemented a whole Express server to support the RESTful Fire APIs. And so you can get in here and be like, well, my application is going to need patient records and it's going to need procedures and conditions and I don't know, care plans, whatever. And again, as we're doing that, it's building up uh, this Meteor settings file. And here on the server side, under Fire REST patients, it's like enabling the different interactions, the CRUD interactions, and kind of building up everything for running this Fire server. And you can, disable OAuth and do some initialization on startup. And there's user accounts. You can create your user accounts, connect to different production databases. Uh, Cryptography. A lot of healthcare requires cryptography, and I used to work at MITRE Corporation, which is the federal laboratories that manage both engineering for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, but they also MITRE also runs the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, and where they do engineering for various uh, 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 three-letter acronym organizations, and they take cryptography and security very seriously there. And one of the things that we were able to do with Node on Fire while I was working at MITRE was do a cybersecurity audit, and we were able to add in a whole public-private asymmetric key cryptography infrastructure there. Environment variables, interfaces, and so forth. So the idea is like you generate your settings file and then you rerun it. So I'm going to um, run it with some. First, I'm going to run it with like um, let's see here. Settings, honeycomb, localhost. And so the first time that you run, it ships with some default settings files. And so we're going to load up one or two of them here. And um, as that's loading, I'm going to come back. Maybe create node on Fire. Yes, I'm very big fan of that. Um, uh, Jan, oh yeah, moved from simple schema to JSON schema. Yeah, I get that there's going to be some in some ways simple schema was addressing some things and making it better. I do get that it's going to be like two steps forward, one step back. But going to roll with it the best we can. Decades worth of work. Yes, we're going to monetize through premium modules, certification. Thank you. Um, oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, so build into the Express server. Yeah, so the Express server, so we were actually running like three different, maybe four different Express servers in uh, version 2, Meteor version 2, like version 2.5. We had web app, we had the account server, we had our own OAuth server, we had there was one other. but like we had like 4 different instances of Express. And so we've really been focusing on like consolidating with Meteor version 3 into like one Express server. So that's been like a real big win. And Argon 2. I don't know. I'll have to look into Argon 2. Um, but okay, so here's Honeycomb running with like a different config file, and now nope, maybe okay. I'm gonna run it with once more. I'm going to do one more. Let me think. I'm going to switch to okay, so here's like I had another instance of this all kind of set up with prepared demo, so we're going to jump into like a prepared demo given the time. So this is like what one of the w- this monster of a run command is a little typical with Node on Fire. It's a little clunky, but it allows the flexibility for like these really more kind of complex workflows that are needed in healthcare. And so we're going to be looking at let's see here. Actually, we're going to okay. So yeah, so this is sort of like the landing page for a full installation, and we've been adding the authentication and security kind of. So we log in. I've been a big fan of HouseMD. And so, so yeah, Rainbows in Medical Home is, let's see here, Werner Vinge. If you don't know this reference, this was a book that won the Hego Award in 2007. Excellent book. It's about it's about the nursing homes of the future. Like the main character has Alzheimer's, but gets the medication, and the Alzheimer's is like lifted or resolved, and suddenly they have to go back to school and deal with like the world in 2025. And it's been very prescient. It really, like Werner, really managed to almost predict this moment that we're living in. So, so yeah, I don't know. We use that, and but here is kind of all the modules kind of running together. We're logged in as a doctor, and we have 16 beds in this nursing home, and we can discharge the patient, clean the bed. There's like a whole patient directory. And so these are all sample patients that I'm not going to do Cynthia today. I'm kind of checking time and going to skip ahead. But we have a tool that MITRE created that's called Cynthia. It is a synthetic patient data generator. And so we can kind of generate synthetic patients that are in the same format as what the hospitals would export. And that's obviously very helpful for developing applications and software. So here's Maria Godoy, and we select Maria. And so here's like the selected patient here. We can go view the chart, and here's like, we'll expand all, and here's like a complete medical chart for this person, and they've got conditions, and they've got immunizations and procedures, sleep apnea, dental, medications, the medications that they're on, and then all sorts of laboratory values and so forth, and then care plans, diabetes, and so on and so forth. So let's see if clinical story works. And okay, so here's like the clinical timeline, so that you can kind of get a sanity check of like what's all of this happening with this patient. And so, we see dementia and social isolation, Alzheimer's, a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, and you can kind of see the progression of the various diseases that this patient has. So the so we can go to Maria and we can say we are assigning. Uh-oh. No, wait a second. Godoy. Okay, so we're going to check in. Maria gets admitted into the nursing home, and then from here we have all sorts of other functionality. Let's see if I can pull up. I pull up and nope, that might not work. Can I see this one? My document viewer. It's a synthetic generated data. The viewer does work, but um, our sample data isn't thing. But let's see here, medication list. Okay, so here's like medication reconciliation. Let's go look at biomarker charting. Okay, and so
Oh, just Abby, we lost the screen share.
uh-oh. Well, that's thank you for am I back?
Yes.
Oh, very good, very good. Okay, so we're looking at biomarkers and charting, and so here is like sodium level in blood, and she has the same height over the time, but pain, fluctuates, and we can go in and pop into the directory, and let's go look at Lemuel Anderson. And you can go here and look at Lemuel's data is completely different: heart rate and body measure and pain severity and all the rest. Um, so so let's go back to Maria, um, and so we'll go and you can, I mean, there's all sorts of functionality in here. It's like you can take vital signs as there's symptom tracking. This is like a symptom backtracker. There's a whole questionnaire thing. But we're just adding more and more functionality in all of this. And now then I'm going to wrap this up with some showing you how we've been implementing some large language models. And so this is called the International Patient Summary. It's international standard for travelers, which is a little different than like a longitudinal record. A longitudinal record could have I don't know, over-the-counter medication receipts or fitness data. But when you're traveling, you wouldn't necessarily need like all your fitness data or all of your, receipts for over-the-counter stuff. So International Patient Summary is a little bit more focused on needs of travelers. And so, your problem list and your allergies, no allergies, your medications, immunizations, these kind of things. And we're going to run all of this data through a language model. And I'm actually going to showcase agent to agent, which uses two language models. And we're actually going to use a HIPAA compliant language model that runs in the browser. And so we're shipping the language model to the browser in this demo. And so I'm not sending this off to Claude or ChatGPT. This is running local in my browser right now. And we're going to load it. And this takes a couple minutes. We're going to let this run, and it's going to generate a text narrative. I'm going to bounce back to the comments. Cryptography, references like that. Okay, so okay, nothing in the.
Just I might expand a little bit on the Argon 2 thing.
Okay.
That has been added, I think, 1 or 2 versions back, and it's a new hashing for passwords.
Okay.
So instead of bcrypt, you can now select Argon 2 and it will automatically migrate. So it's Argon 2 is supposed to be more secure than bcrypt, which
Okay.
hasn't been getting any much of updates. So it's a simple change in the Meteor settings.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
And
Very good.
yeah, just also with the HIPAA compliant AI, that means from the point of data, not for actually medical accuracy.
Right. So it's HIPAA compliant, but it's also be careful of what you use it for. Be real careful about using it for diagnostics. But we're not using it for diagnostics. We're using it in this. What did prompt tokens? I've never gotten this.
We are not seeing the screen again. Probably
Yeah. Let
like
me.
this stop sharing thing.
Let me try. My demo worked just earlier today. Let's try this once more and see. Maybe it was switching between. Uh, we'll use a smaller model if it gives. Wow, this is new. Okay, so we'll try a different. Um, it may be. Wow, this is. Huh. Wow. I wonder why. Um, I have a network error. I'm gonna give it a hard refresh, and because it's been working really well. I think. Okay, we're going to load in Teresa. We're going to do international patient summary. Go to the editor, generate narrative. One more time after a refresh. Good. That's good so far. We'll try a different patient next. What maybe happen is Maria is 82 years old, and I'm guessing that Maria's file is like a little too large, is what's happening. So let's try with Jeremy Wisoki, who da, 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 patient chart. Okay. Um, okay, let's try, because I generated Jeremy's earlier today or yesterday. Very bummed. I'd very much like to share this. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay, my camera light went off, and I just wanted to check. Yep. Okay. This is behaving better. For whatever reason, Maria's chart had something that was erroring out.
Yeah, we've lost the screen again.
Uh-oh. Yeah, let me get back there.
Yeah, maybe if you turn the camera off and on again, it might reset or something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. How about that? You can see the screen?
Correct. That's all
Okay.
visible.
So sometimes you need a little. I don't have my little green light up at the top, knowing that I have my that we have a connection. Okay, so this is good. We're past whatever hiccup that was, and we're using the larger Mistral 7B, which gives better results, and it does take a little bit, so it's crunching. But what's nice is you have unlimited tokens, and you're not paying token fees, and this we're actually getting this working on a tablet, so you can run this on a mobile device, and it's pretty exciting. But it does take a minute or two for it to crunch through the whole record. Um, um, Come on, because this is a really great demo. It's worth the wait. Let's see here. Aaron, thank you so much. Uh, how do we monetize it? That's a great question. So for MITRE was operates not for profits, or it is a not for profit working in the public interest. So while I was working there, they were underwriting it and kind of being for the good of the country. Going forward, I do have that question about um, how do we maintain it and keep it running. There's probably going to be premium modules. I'm thinking that the LLM processing is going to be part of the premium, and so the free version will uh, kind of be like, here's an out of the box nursing home or medical home application that you can install. But if you want the AI related stuff, if you want radiology and genetic counseling and other things, that will be the more premium version. So that's kind of the thinking right now. May change or evolve. But here we go. Okay, so this international patient summary presents a 104-year-old male, Jeremy Wasowski, residing in Hanover, Massachusetts. Mr. Wasowski's medical history is extensive: type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, ischemic heart disease, acute infections, is not fully currently not full-time employment up until 86, and then he's been uh, complex medication regime, so on and so forth. So so what just happened is we went through all of these JSON schema packets that are sitting. If we go back to Mongo Compass, we could find one patient record here for Jeremy Wasowski, and then in all of these other collections, there are other references to Jeremy buried in them, and we fetch them when we select Jeremy. We load them all in to the browser, and then the language model went through all of them
No,
that were.
I mean, we lost the screen again.
Uh oh. Um. Uh. And so let me kind of show, like on the back end, or like I guess is actually the front end. So conditions, find, fetch. So here's 61 conditions that are loaded into the browser for Jeremy, and here are encounters. No encounters. Procedures. Here's 232 procedures. Here's six care plans, and so on and so forth. Is so all of these are loaded up into the browser, and we just use the language model in the browser to go through and create this narrative, this textual narrative. We can now use this textual narrative to do things like answer questionnaires, or what we're going to do is we're going to do a pre-authorization. And so this is the applicant agent dashboard, and it has already fetched some of the data from Jeremy Wisowski's record. So we're going to be looking for the MR. We're going to request authorization for an MRI of the spine, and
Yeah,
it's already.
Abby, again, we are losing the screen for some reason.
Oh no! Oh no! We're near the end. We're going to wrap this up and uh, um, close it out. Um, so it's already. So we're going to send the request, and now I'm looking at this. I'm kind of like I need to double check some of this, but so the language model generated the request. It is being sent to the server, which is relaying it to Claude, and Claude responded with, "I need your patient demographics, I need medical necessity documentation, and I need provider credentials." And now the local language model is trying to respond to the AI, and so we literally have two AI language models chatting with each other right now on behalf of the patient. The one is advocating for the prior authorization. The second is saying this is what I'm going to need, and then the third message is an attempt to respond to the request and to kind of prep things up using that international patient summary that we just generated. This is early days. There's a lot of quality control work that needs to be done to improve this, but it's a peek into where healthcare systems are going. And my general contention nowadays is that if the insurance industry is going to be using AI to screen or approve healthcare, then patients have a right, should have a right to have AIs advocating on their behalf also. So, that's some of the work that keeps me busy, and I'm sure that there's a lot more that we could go over, but that's going to round out my demo for the day. Um, then let's see here. And we're just going to wrap up with a couple what's the future, and if I had any requests for Meteor. So in the future, yes, JSON schemas on our roadmap, also Zod, um, Swagger, open API schemas. We've really been interested in integrating that also. That helps the MCP and the A2A work. Um, we're looking at replacing Express with a Fastify server. I've been hearing interest in this, and I think that that's kind of, it's like as soon as we consolidated on Express in V3, we're immediately looking at, okay, how do we upgrade it from there? So little bit to be determined, but I think Fastify server is on the roadmap. Um, JSON RPC. I've become enamored with this of recently. I think that this could be um, uh, uh-oh, Meteor methods. JSON RPC could completely replace Meteor methods. It's um, JSON for remote procedure calls, and if you look into it, this thing I've become completely enamored with it of late. And so I think that we could see JSON schema plus JSON RPC. Wow, that would be really great. IPFS for data distribution. We're really excited about the RS pack because we're going to be able to install Cornerstone 3D, which is JavaScript's like premier radiology viewer. And then down the road, along with that Argon library, crystals, dilithium has been on our radar. But that's going to be that might be a contender to Argon. I imagine that they're going to be sort of uh, implementing them at the same time is probably likely. So anyhow, that's sort of things that I've been keeping track on. And then lastly, if I had any recommendations for the Meteor ecosystem, I really do like the idea of Meteor Create Node on Fire. That would be splendid. But if I had one request, it would be that the extra packages flag functionality also worked on the Meteor deploy command. Right now, you can only do Meteor run extra packages. I would love to see Meteor deploy extra packages also. Um, yeah, and that would be my one, like that would be the top of the list for asking the Meteor community broader for help with. Um, and with that, yeah. Um, okay, so going through some of the chat. Um, yeah. Um, let the AIs battle it out, and yeah. So, can I answer any questions? Can we do some Q&A?
Yeah, I think we've kind of answered them throughout. Aaron is coming back as well. So Aaron, you can start.
I didn't understand. I'm kind of new to Meteor, so I didn't understand your last idea about the extra packages. Can you explain that a little bit?
Right. So when you deploy applications to Galaxy, the so Meteor is not just a tool chain, it is a tool chain of tool chains. It is a meta tool chain that will go and launch different tool chains. And so you have the Atmosphere compiler, you have NPM compiler, we now have the RS pack, you have Cordova, you can have Electron. It will launch additional compilers for specific environments. And so you can't necessarily, just because you're compiling it for your local application, doesn't mean that's the same compile toolchain that you're going to get for a different environment. And Galaxy is considered a different environment. And so there is a specific command for deploying it to production, and this is going to go get hosted. And as part of the go live or we're deploying to production process, it's going to minimize, it's going to compact, and some additional. It's going to put it into a Docker image along the way, and various other things. And so it's a different command, and just along the way, that command didn't get support for extra packages. And so what it does is instead it looks at the .meteor packages directory or file and looks at what's installed there. The extra packages flag is typically used when you're running it locally for, I have this one extra package, I want it as a one-off. And if you decide you like it, then you add it into .meteor packages. What that does is so it's that is fine for 95% of Meteor developers who are just building a custom app. Node on Fire isn't just a custom app. It's a distributed app that's also a skeleton and a template. And this extra packages on the deploy command is really a feature that would benefit like template developers or skeleton developers that would let us or you know keep it would it would allow projects like Node on Fire to remain loosely coupled so that people don't have to install the packages permanently in the application, but could add the packages through environment variables or through the like command line environment. It's like a modularization thing, loose decoupling. The recommendation is really around during our deploy we're tightly coupled during the deployment process when the rest of the development is loosely decoupled. So it's sort of this niche thing. It comes into play when you're deploying many different projects and so forth. So if you're new to Meteor, it's maybe a problem that you haven't encountered. The longer you work with it, you'll maybe encounter it.
I'm with you now. Like in your demo, you put those different dip switches, and they said you needed to add those packages. You don't want to just redeploy them. You just want those packages added. Gotcha. Um, I happened to notice. I think it was you in the forums. You had some sort of limit with Galaxy, like a 350 megabyte or
Yeah,
gigabyte, some sort of limit.
yeah.
What that was you? Okay. What happened with that? And what was the resolution? I didn't see the demo.
Well, I removed a bunch of packages. It's this what's that old joke? I guess it's a Atlantic cartoon or New Yorker cartoon, and the person goes into the doctor's office and is like, "It hurts when I hit this," and the doctor says, "Well, don't hit it." So I removed some packages, and it started working. Um, uh, that particular problem um, was the A2A libraries were pulling in like their own. I'd included some libraries that were pulling in yet another copy of Express, I guess, and maybe yet another copy of React, and then the vital signs tracking package had pulled in a whole new graphing library. So not just Nevo D3, which is our default, it had pulled in um, what is it, fast charts, chart.js or something, and just had blown up an extra 50 or 100 megabytes because that charting library was like really big. And so it just was audit the packages and remove them. Um, but I, I think forward to, okay, if we could get this certified from the government, I don't know if we're going to be able to do all of it and keep it underneath 350 megabytes. If the entire thing may just wind up being larger than that, and we'll have to talk enterprise license or talk with uh, uh, Tiny and the Meteor Development Group to figure out something custom for that.
Yeah, a
That's the
custom container,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
or
that's
we'll
frustrating.
have like a special here container, fire
Uh,
container. For you.
Yeah, maybe, and I think that there is an argument for that. I think down down the line we get it certified, then people are going to ask, oh, can we audit kind of the stream, the supply chain, as it were? They're going to ask, oh, is Galaxy also HIPAA certified and so forth? I think that there's uh, I think that Tiny and the Meteor Development Group and Galaxy can sidestep that and say, we're actually not a HIPAA service. We're actually more of a FCC, a Federal Communications Center service. And what we're providing is more like telco. And we are infrastructure, and it's actually Abby or the operators who are running Node on Fire that have the HIPAA um, uh, obligations, and we're just FCC, and you can.
Yeah, it's running on AWS, so AWS I think has a HIPAA compliant version in some
Right.
sort. So
They do, and they might ask, okay, well, for additional for some types of applications, it's okay. Like if it's only a personal health record, then you wouldn't need HIPAA compliance. If you are running something HIPAA compliant, then they might ask use the enterprise version of Galaxy and run it on AWS HIPAA and so forth. So there's stuff to be sorted out there, but I think that there's a real pathway. I'm not. I have no doubt that there's a pathway for those. Where there's a will, there's a way.
right, Aaron, sorry I interrupted you there. So
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Aaron.
Oh no, you're fine. And I was going to ask something. I forgot at the moment. Give me a second.
Okay, I have another question for the JSON RPC. Is that, or I think that kind of goes like with everything else that you kind of looking at. And I've kind of joked that maybe instead of Fastify, you might want to look on Hono.js, and there's quite a few other servers in the JS world. We had the bun for a while making rounds, but kind of going back to that, are you looking more to potentially start a discussion to include that in the core, or somehow integrate? Can I get everybody else to work on it together, or is that something that you kind of are looking to just go and implement yourself?
Well, that's um, I see enough value that we would implement ourselves, but I also think that if we were first, then we could show how other people the value and the benefit of it, and it get adopted. I would certainly love help on it. For I'm going to share my screen again real quick to kind of show you so here is the A to A instance, and we're using the Meteor stream method, and I think this is the one that oh, that's the um oh, darn it, I thought I had it. Is it this one? Nope. I'm going to I'd love to kind of showcase it. It's one of these that's not on anymore. Um, well, darn it. Um, it does a whole different little user interface here. And maybe we're just not going to be able to demo it right now. Eh, it's not. It's not gonna work. Yeah, it's not working. It generates like a whole little user interface down here, and you can see the socket connection and the start and the end and the like socket updates.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm the
Yeah.
the The demo gods were very kind to me today, but the JSON RPC is not going to be able to do that. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm asking because the question of Meteor methods is coming up again and again. How to change them, how to upgrade them, and kind of around that. So that I think
oh,
adding JSON RPC into the mix might be interesting into the discussion.
let me tell you, from been working with Meteor for a decade. I had no opinion, and it was just a big question mark on how would you upgrade Meteor methods. And it was just like I had no concept, and it was just like, well, out of sight, out of mind. I don't know. And then I saw JSON RPC, and I was like, well, that's it. I mean, it is obviously JSON RPC. Like there was in my mind, it was so obvious that that is the correct answer that as soon as I saw it, I was just kind of like, well, that answered that question. I don't think that I just don't even see anything else contending. So I'm very pro JSON RPC for that use case.
Okay, Aaron, did you remember your question?
Yeah, outside of GitHub, do you have like your own website where maybe you have a blog, you talk about things that you're doing? And also a second part to that question, I looked at the Honeycomb. I saw 4 contributors. I saw you plus Claude and some other bots. Is it just you, or do you have other people in your team?
Oh, well, okay. So, um, it, it- I do the lion's share of the work. The what's happened is that there's sort of a moving goalpost, and if you go back to there's a Node on Fire v2 repo, and then there's also a Meteor on Fire repo, and those you'll see more people involved. A lot of the people tend to wind up developing just like the atmosphere package, and so they wouldn't wind up. And yeah, no, it's been a great deal of the work has been just me, but for a long time it was part of an LLC, and now I'm reincorporating as a C corp, so that other people can have some ownership and equity in the whole thing. So I consider myself like a curator. I kind of steward and curate the thing. But when you ask like who else is involved, and it's like, well, the entire HO7 community developing Fire, the entire Meteor community developing Meteor, the Material UI people developing Material UI, and so I curate and bring together like this particular mix um, of technologies, and then we test it at the connectathons. But yeah, no, it's a lot of it's me.
Yeah, you may be standing on giants, but it's definitely a lot more than just putting things together. You've done a whole lot of work here. It's really, really impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. So there was a question about where is a good way to see my posts and links and so forth. LinkedIn is probably the best place to see my posts and announcements. Here, I'll put that in the chat. Please feel free to reach out and connect. And what did Jan put in there? Are those honeypots? What are those?
Yes, you were talking about honeycomb, and this is the
Oh, yeah,
closest I
yeah.
could find.
Um, yeah, I got so tired of fire, this. Like, and so for a long time it was flame and firefighters and this, and it just got to the point where it was like yelling fire in a theater, and I just got to a point where I was just kind of like, I need a different metaphor. I need a different project code name. So that's how Honey came about, a distributed app and busy bees, and we're all working together kind of thing.
Nice. Last question from me. I've also seen that you had IPFS on things that you are looking at. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that fit in?
Oh gosh. This one I will share my screen again because I wrote an article on LinkedIn, and if you aren't connected on LinkedIn, you might have missed it. Let's see here. Where are they? Show the featured items. Oh, where is my IPFS? Oh, darn it. I thought I had it all lined up here. IPFS. IPFS. Okay, so here's actually a screenshot of it. Two different clients working. And so I've proofed it. We have worked. We have it working, but it's not quite modularized to fit into Node on Fire. This was a one-off. But yeah, so this is a technology that needs RSPAC, and the late so IPFS has had kind of a moving goalpost. They wrote a whole bunch of, I guess, um, the original IPFS library was written with CommonJS, and then they moved to ES6, but then they also jumped to like a newer uh, build pipeline that used like the main exports, which is something that we've been talking about in the forums. And so when we put together this demo, which yeah, it's a peer-to-peer web browser to web browser, has the hashes and shares the links and synchronizes it, and it's all like WebTorrent. Or a BitTorrent, but we had to use like the older library, and the newer library requires RSPAC, and so there's these kind of things. But I really like this as a way to distribute configuration files between the distributed app instances. And so if you have, say, a directory of endpoints of all the different hospitals that you want to be able to connect to, and you want to share that to the next application, it would be really great to just be able to, you know, go grab it from IPFS Swarm or something. Or if you have a provider directory, so the National Provider Enumeration System, which gives the NPI, the National Provider Information, or National Provider Identifier. Anyway, every nurse and doctor gets an NPI number. It's their license number, and there's a system that publishes, like a million uh, licensed nurses and doctors their NPI numbers, and it's like sharing that around. IPFS would be excellent for that. Reduce cost, let everybody have like a local copy of it, and sync when you need like the latest updates. And yeah, the WebTorrent's really built well for that. So this was a great little demo. It does work, and in the future, I hope to, as other people start with the newly incorporated business, and we get other people involved in on a more kind of formal basis as this gets certified. I'm hoping to create a little network on this, and I think that I believe that this could be the foundation for a really powerful and exciting health information exchange, and a QHIN, a qualified health information network. I think that a QHIN running on IPFS would be really smart. I think it could do a lot of things that existing health information exchanges aren't able to do. It would have a lot of functionality that could be a game changer. So something I'm exploring. Kind of looking forward to it.
Awesome. Definitely keep in touch about this, because we had also somebody asking about, say, the Web3 capabilities, which I would put this under. So I think if there is more people pushing for that, then this might be something to put in Meteor core, or some
Yeah.
important package. And definitely with 3.4 around the corner, we'll have more, hopefully, of the
I'm so
main
looking forward.
import.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it.
All right. Anybody, if any last question? I think we've kind of grilled you long enough.
No, it's great. I'm excited to be able to do this and share this. And thank you for letting me have the platform and the stage this morning.
Thank you very much. Sadly, we couldn't have it yesterday, but that's life. Next time we'll schedule better. As always, Abby, always a pleasure having you on, and hope to see you again next time.
Well, thank you so much. I would be, I would welcome doing some more of these. And just a quick, so end of year, we're going to try to push for getting health. Well, there's sort of going to be a 1.0 release of Node on Fire. That's what I'm aiming for, and that may coincide with this health IT certification. I think it would make a lot of sense to do that. So certainly, I would welcome a follow up maybe at the end of the year, and we'll see how things progress.
Absolutely. Let me, Alim, and the Meteor software team know, and we can celebrate as well with you.
Okay. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you.